this being, raise the spirit all day long. Raise the spirit all day long. Oh, oh yeah, hey ya. Oh yeah, hey ya. Oh yeah, hey ya. Hallelujah. Oh yeah, hey ya. Oh yeah, hey ya. Oh yeah, hey ya. Hallelujah. Oh yeah, hey ya. Hallelujah. I am moving to the rhythm of the Holy, Holy Spirit. This dance of life, God inspired, keeps me dancing. My faith is strong, keeps me dancing. My faith is strong. Oh yeah, hey ya. Oh yeah, hey ya. Oh yeah, hey ya. Hallelujah. Oh yeah, hey ya. Oh yeah, hey ya. Oh yeah, hey ya. Hallelujah. Oh yeah, hey ya. Hallelujah. Oh yeah, hey ya.
It's a performance right there. Yeah, thank you for the applause. Thank you. I'm working on it. Good morning, everyone. Nice to see you all here. Nice to see all your wonderful faces. This is a beautiful May day. I've got flowers blooming in my yard, geraniums, roses, wonderful flowers. The music, yes. Before I comment on that, last night my wife and I went to, maybe you've heard this group, the Oakland Interfaith Gospel Choir? Yeah. So Terrence Kelly, who's a Bay Area icon of choral music, they just blew the roof off the church, essentially. And he does call response. So I was joining you there, Kevin, with your hey-ya. I just kind of flowed out of me from last night. So eventually we'll get a choir here, but until then, we hold our own. Let's give it to Omega and Kev and our other musicians. Yeah, oh yeah. We can hold our own. Well, good morning. I guess you want to know what my name is. If you don't know, it's Anthony. And my credentials is that I'm another human being who comes to the Oakland Center and enjoys it here. My preferred pronouns, he, him, dude, guy, hey you, and last but not least, excuse me, sir. So, again, welcome to the Oakland Center, where we teach spiritual principles, practices that nourish us, uplift us, celebrate our oneness with all life, with obviously a touch of humor. And a special welcome to you joining us for the first time. Is anybody here for the very first time? Raise your hand. Ooh, okay, 1, 2, 3. Well, we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we're going to be giving out packets. We've got wonderful ushers giving out packets of info. Raise your hand. Okay. Well, okay, we're good. Yeah. Love, you're just getting bombarded by love. I hope you don't mind. And then we have live streamers. Let's wave to the live streamers. We're back to waving to the live streamers. Thank you for joining us whenever, wherever you can. And for those of you who are interested, please sign up for our weekly newsletter so you can learn all about the things we do here, the fun things, the wonderful things. And so at this point in our service, we do this ritually, and we are blessing our future. We are blessing those who will carry on the legacy of our civilization and society, and that's the children. But we take this time to honor our children. There we are. Okay, just say it all together. We honor all our youth and children in our community and the world. We love you. We see you. You are Spirit's gift to us. Thank you for being. Mine says thank you for being in our lives. That's okay. They feel it. They'll feel it somewhere, somehow. And what is a Sunday morning without announcements? I would be without a job. Okay. If only I got paid. Anyway, Wednesday, May 4th, practitioner Regina Buckwalter will be speaking in What's in Your Spice Rack? All right. Meditation at 6:30, and the service begins at 7. Are these still Zoomed? Okay, we continue to do Zoom the Wednesday night services. The link is on the website. It's all there. Next Sunday, Mother's Day, Reverend Jerry is coming back. She's on a much-needed vacation. She will be speaking on the same subject, what's in your spice rack. Meditation at 10 o'clock as usual. The service begins at 10:30. Am I going too fast? Okay. So many ways to have fun, be with others, up-level your consciousness. The Education Ministry is offering you 3 great workshops in May. Both of the after-service workshops are available in person or Zoom. Pre-registration for Zoom is required. Is there information about those workshops? Okay, all right. Okay, all right. Following the service today, at 1 p.m., our speaker, Greg Lavoy, is going to offer a workshop. It's called The Stories We Tell Ourselves. The cost is $30. You can register or pay online using your cell phone. I beg your pardon? Susan Brecker will be registering for the workshop after the service. Sally Bartholomew, y'all remember Sally? Reverend Sally's, yes. She will be coming back to conduct a workshop, Get Your Happy On, at 1 p.m. following the Sunday service on May 15th. Is she giving that service? Okay, that's cool. She'll be giving a Sunday service, $30. Please register online, and you can do the workshop. And again, person and Zoom, that's great. You have options. How are you navigating the return to normal life post-pandemic? Yeah, that's a very good question. How have the past 2 years changed you? Practitioner Constance Chapman, who's sitting in the front row, joined practitioner Constance Chapman on May 7th and 21st. The dates here, see? 7th. Yeah. All right. Friday and Saturday. All right. There are the hours. And paint yourself out of the pandemic mindset. The virus may still be with us. How we let it impact our thinking is our choice, absolutely. By adding image and movement to our spiritual beliefs and practices, we can go a bit deeper and coming out of revealing more of who we really are. Yeah, it sounds like very ritualistic practice. Maybe bringing closure to some things that the pandemic brought up, or releasing them. No painting knowledge or experience is needed. Cost is $150, all supplies included. Okay, now this is the next announcements about promotion on swag. Do you want a t-shirt with our window or symbol, SOM symbol? A t-shirt would have that on it, or Signs of Mind symbol, there they are. Check out our Redbubble website, and there is do you have the link up there? Okay, well, it's a long email address, https://www.redbubble. Okay, okay, it doesn't say that. Go to the bookstore. That's it? No. Anyway, on the website, there are many styles to choose from. Long sleeve, short sleeve, sweatshirt, hoodie, and you can select your size. There are also many other products you can choose. Order from the bookstore, from the account above, and we will get a percentage back to the bookstore for sale. Sales continue on all merchandise through April. Expect new items in May. Today, okay, CALM, C-A-L-M, is an acronym for Compassion, Attention to Loss. They meet today at 12:30, both in person and online. The theme is Gifts of Grief. This is kind of like a grief support group, or if you're going through a crisis or a hard time. I was serving in that group for a while. It's very, very good for anything heavy on your mind that you want to just process and talk about. So today at 1:30. 12:30, okay. Are you interested in up-leveling your spiritual practice? We have discussion groups, morning devotional, prayer opportunities available to you. All of these are listed in one place on the events page of oaklandcsl.org. Please check it out. Remember, you can contribute to Relief for Ukraine at csl.org/Ukraine. We do make a difference. And if you'd like to connect with us, please send an email to Constance Chapin, our administrative assistant, at constance@oaklandcsl.org. And as always, for information on all that's going on here at the center, visit our website, again, oaklandcsl.org, and sign up for the weekly news letter, the Thursday Village News. And don't forget, you can follow us on Instagram, YouTube, and Facebook for special updates and content you'll only find by liking and subscribing to OCSL. So now we're going to stand and read our mission statement. The vision of Oakland Center for Spiritual Living is to joyfully reveal oneness of God. We are a welcoming and inclusive spiritual community dedicated to individual transformation and collective growth. Our purpose is to love, inspire, and serve our community and the world through education, music, prayer, and play. And so it is.
That's a hard act to follow, okay? But I'm gonna do it, okay? Welcome, everybody, welcome. What we're going to do right now is to repeat our new minister covenant. We have completed what we were supposed to do on our end, and now the applications are out in all the centers, and so now what we're doing is just waiting. And so say this with oof, that right and perfect minister is here for us. So let us stand and start our covenant prayer. There is only one life. This life is good. This life is God. This life is my life now. In knowing that I am one with this life that is God, I therefore know that I am one with all of its blessed expressions, which includes the presence of a new minister for my beloved spiritual community. Because I know that the highest purpose of my new minister is to reveal spirit, I therefore know that my new minister is a revelation of God as wisdom. I further know that my new minister is the fulfillment of that which has been promised by Spirit, for it is written, I am filled with divine wisdom. I allow divine mind to fill my mind now. As I stand in agreement with my beloved community, I see my new minister revealed before me as unity in the community. I now intend to experience my new minister in full cooperation and agreement with my community, knowing this truth about myself. For I am inspiring unity in diversity, embracing and nourishing our community. I am awakening the wisdom within. I am healing and expanding our community with the power of love. I am engaging the community in building a world that works for everyone. I am deeply family consciousness. As I now accept the highest expression of a new minister into my life, I know that they are revealed in a way that illumines spirit and serves the highest and greatest good of all who are touched by this presence. I am grateful. God is gracious. And so it is. Ashe. Thank you. We have two readings today. One is by Ernest Holmes, and the other is by our guest speaker, Greg Lavoy. The first one. In our deep subconscious area, we have laid down thought patterns, and these beliefs, ideas, feelings, hopes, doubts, and fears make up that which attracts the experiences of our lives. That's by Ernest Holmes. The second reading. The stories we tell ourselves help us make sense of life and figure things out, but can also turn on us when they come up against life's primary agenda to grow. Stories are powerful, and they shape our lives because stories become beliefs and become behaviors. There's great power, though, in realizing that we're not just the protagonists of our stories, we're the narrators and are in charge of the stories. That's by our guest speaker, Greg Lavoy. So now, let us come together, recognizing and knowing that there is only one of us here, that the power in the presence of God is right where you are right now, guiding, guarding, and protecting us. Let us know that there is only one life, and that life is the life of God. And that life is your life right here, right now, and in everyone in the sound of my voice. I am blessing this service, blessing our AV team, blessing our fantastic musicians, and anyone who has had anything to do with putting this wonderful service together. I am knowing that we are in for a fantastic treat as we welcome and bless our speaker, Greg Lavoy. I am knowing that we are truly transformed and renewed by his words that he speaks, knowing that God moves through him easily and effortlessly. I am knowing for each and every one of us that we take something special from this service today and we shine our light outside. I am knowing that this service is already complete in the mind of God. And we just say, thank you, Mother, Father, God, for this and for the more. So I am knowing that we are blessed, that we know that divine light shines through each and every one of us. And we are transformed and renewed this day that God has created. So I give thanks. I give thanks for each and every one of us who make up this fantastic service. I give thanks for right where we are in our right and perfect place, that we are loved, peace, joy, harmony, abundance, prosperity. There is no lack, there is no limitation, there is only the power and the presence of God. And I give thanks for this. I give thanks knowing that we are whole, perfect, and complete. And as I, Dorothy, release this word into the law, I say thank you. And together we say, and so it is. Amen.
I am in the darkness. I am in the light. Oh, see me if you can. Everywhere I am dwelling in the sunshine. Dwelling in the shadows, dwelling in believers, and in folks who don't know. I am all appearing. I am all invisible. I am in the highest, and I am in the very low. I tell you, I am in appearing, and I am in invisible. I am in the highest, and I am in the very low. Glory God appearing, glory invisible, glory in the highest, glory, glory very low. Glory God appearing, glory God invisible, glory in the highest, glory, glory very low. Glory, glory appearing, glory, glory invisible, glory in the highest, glory in the very low. Glory, glory appearing, glory in the visible, glory, glory highest, glory in the very low. Ay, 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 ay. Thank you.
Don't they take your breath away? Thank you, Ted. Thank you, Omega. Good morning. My name is Susan Brecker, and I am a practitioner here at the Oakland Center for Spiritual Living. And today, it is my pleasure to be able to introduce you to our guest speaker, Greg Lavoy. I am so delighted to be able to do this. First, I will share with you some of the accomplishments of this gentleman that are written here. Greg Lavoy is the author of Callings, Finding and Following on an Authentic Life. He is rated among the top 20 career publications by the Workforce Information Group. And Vital Signs, The Nature and Nurture of Passion. He is the former behavioral specialist at USA Today and a regular blogger for Psychology Today. He has presented at Microsoft, the Smithsonian Institution, Environmental Protection Agency, and National Conference on Positive Aging, American Counseling Association, National Career Development Association, the CSL Convention, and others. Greg has appeared on ABC TV, CNN, NPR, and PBS. Greg is a former adjunct professor of journalism at the University of New Mexico, former columnist and reporter for USA Today and the Cincinnati Enquirer, and has written for the New York Times Magazine, Washington Post, Omni, Psychology Today, Christian Science Monitor, Fast Company, and many others. His website is greglavoy.com. His books and he will be outside to greet you after the service. And of course, don't forget about the workshop this afternoon. And on a personal note, I have known Greg for a while. The first time I met him, he was still living in North Carolina. And the thing I admired the most about our first meeting is how he listens. He listens, and you're right there with him, but you know you're in his heart. He is a delightful man. and I'm so glad to know him, and I'm so glad to present him to you as he speaks with us and to us this day. Ladies and gentlemen, Greg Lavoy.
Well, I love it. The kiss heard round the world. Cute. Thank you. You know what I love? My partner Cindy is here, and she says about me sometimes that I talk in italics. And I feel right at home in this church because you guys talk in italics. And I just love that. Just an enthusiastic bunch. All right, well, thank you for that introduction. So I am delighted to be here in person again. Oh my God, in person. I just love that. And so roughly around the last time I was here, which is about 3 years ago, I moved from Asheville, North Carolina to Santa Cruz. And that was a decision that was complicated by the fact that my twin brother lives in Santa Cruz. Okay? And moving to his town, and I'm pointing over here because he is sitting over here. His name is Ross. I'm delighted you're here today. But moving to his town, and this is a town that he's lived in for almost 40 years, would not only run afoul of our long-standing policy that there ain't no town big enough for the two of us, meaning, you know, we need our own turf, but would also, I imagined, sort of trouble the ghost of our mother, who instilled that taboo in us with her insistence from the day we were born that we were going to have independent identities. Okay? So there was no Ron and Don stuff. All right? We had separate bedrooms, separate classes in school. We had to take separate instruments, go to separate summer camps, different hobbies, even for a while, different bus stops. This is how determined my mother was. Different bus stops, all right? And so when I mentioned to Ross my interest in considering Santa Cruz as a possible place to relocate, and shared my concern about violating this lifelong taboo, he initially shrugged. He said, 15 years ago, I would have agreed, but I'm over it. So one day, in the middle of an experiment in dating Santa Cruz, I lived there for a month to see if it was a fit. I went into the grocery store around the corner from his house, the one he frequents, and the cashier says, asks if I want a receipt. And when I said yes, she said, "Really? You never want a receipt." So I got to say something that I've become incredibly accustomed to saying in Santa Cruz since I moved there. I'm not who you think I am. I'm his twin brother, and no, I'm not pulling your leg. And I'm the twin who always wants a receipt. Okay? That same afternoon, just completely independently, he goes into the same grocery store, ends up in the same checkout line. The same cashier says to him, "Oh, I saw your other half today." Yeah. Not realizing what a loaded remark that is for a twin. Right? That night, Ross told me that he had the first of a number of nightmares about the prospect of me moving to Santa Cruz. Featuring, among other things, avalanches in one dream, mudslides, and a Tyrannosaurus Rex tearing up the town. Do I look that scary to you? So, you know, it turns out he wasn't over it, nor was I, all right? And, this is not surprising. The prohibition against living in the same town is one of the longest standing stories of our life. And we weren't going to undo that without some backlash. You know what I'm saying? And so the only way to grow beyond it, beyond that story that says you cannot live in the same town, was to confront it and hash it out. Right? To confront it and to hash it out. Fact is, we all have stories that we tell ourselves about who we are and how it is and what we're capable of and what can and can't be done, why we succeed or fail, right? What we can expect from life. And I think we do this because we're storytelling animals. And we make up stories to help us figure life out and to give us kind of a template or a framework to make life decisions. And so something that we do naturally. We make up stories. But these stories can sometimes turn on us. They can turn against us, all right? Especially the negative or the constricting stories, these can definitely start to turn on us. All right? Stories like, I'm not the creative type, or people are untrustworthy, or vulnerability is weakness, or 1,000 others. These are stories that can run through our heads, and they become self-limiting, I think, when they come up against what I think of as really life's sort of primary goal, which is to grow. And they can also undermine our belief, as we have in the New Thought communities, that we are each an expression of God, and therefore sacred and worthy. And these stories can sometimes crumble the foundation of that kind of a belief, all right? Especially when they become what a theologian named Henri Nouwen called lies of identity. I am what I do, right? I am what I have. I am what other people think of me, okay? And these are not just big stories like lies of identity either. Anytime you find yourself having a strong reaction to something or someone, like just knee-jerk anger or sudden defensiveness or irrational fear, you're probably under the influence of a story that's become so internalized, so unconscious, you don't even hear it anymore. You don't even hear it anymore. Somebody makes a casual remark, okay? And it reminds you of something your dad used to say. And you're just off to the races. You're not even seeing things as they are anymore, but as they were. All right? And stuck in a story that's probably going to keep recurring until you confront it, until you kind of find some ways of dismantling it a little bit. All right? This is not to say, I want to add this as a kind of a sidebar here. This is not to say that there aren't some stories that are critical to tell, and sometimes tell and retell. Okay? I'm thinking, for one example, of the Truth and Reconciliation Commissions that were set up in South Africa after apartheid, and how critical it was to the justice and the healing from that event that people got a chance to tell the stories of what happened to them under that regime. Those are not necessarily the kind of stories I'm talking about this morning, but I just want to offer a generous bow to some stories need to be told, right? Really need to be told. But these are also not just old stories, like from childhood that I'm referring to, okay? We are constantly making up stories about what we think is going on around us, right? What somebody's thinking, right? What a friend meant by a remark, okay? What a symptom means, what a failure says about us. We're always making up stories, all right? And these are not just personal, They're cultural, all right? Big boys don't. Nice girls don't. You know, these are gender stories that can haunt your individual life, as can cultural narratives like, and this is just one example, go to school, graduate, get a job, get married, have kids, retire. Okay? This is, you know, this may give some people a template to use in crafting a life. It may also punish people who deviate from it, or create unrealistic expectations around pursuit of the American dream. Okay, so some of the big cultural ones, and also some of the spiritual stories, the ones that are handed down from our spiritual traditions, or maybe more to the point, the kind of religious education you may have gotten growing up, right? So consider, for instance, the commandments listed in the Torah, okay? Torah is the first 5 books of the Old Testament, collectively referred to as the law. There are 613 of them, okay? And they include things like, follow not the whims of your heart. This would pretty much put me out of business in my line of work. Do not marry outside your religion. No artistic representations of God. So the painting that Michelangelo did on the ceiling of the Sistine Chapel, you know this one, right? This would be blasphemy, according to that storyline, right? Or stories like no tattoos, no blowing on dice, no working on Sundays. You know, this would be a problem for me, right? Or the minister. So this is why you don't necessarily want to be paid for your work. You'd be breaking the storyline there. Or no talking to the dead. So that means that the intimate conversations you might have with dearly departed, technically, thou shalt not. Right? I love this. No rebelling against your parents. Yeah, we're screwed. Or here's one of my favorites. No trying God's patience. Wow. I want a show of hands on this one. How many of you have ever tried God's patience? I mean, really? Wow. So these crazy storylines, you know? But whether these stories are personal or transpersonal, okay? A story's a box, really. And when you identify with it to the point of feeling stuck or spellbound, you're inside the box. You know, when it prevents you from growth and authenticity and knowing that you are sacred and worthy, you're inside the box. When you step outside the story, look in through the shop window at it, you know, when you even just start to question it, you're outside the box. Easier said than done. I remember this New Yorker cartoon I saw a couple years ago. It's a picture of a man standing over his cat, and there's a litter box over here, and the man says, "Don't ever, ever think outside the box." I just love that. Kind of a non sequitur, but I thought that was funny. Not so easy to think outside the box, no less step outside of it. Okay? No less. Because, as the quote earlier said, stories are immensely powerful. They really are powerful, and they really do guide and shape our lives for better and for worse. Because the stories become belief systems, become behaviors. Okay? And so, as we say in New Thought, thoughts become experience. Right? All right? So, in other words, we don't just tell stories, they tell us. They tell us who we think we are, what we're capable of, and all that. And the negative stories are a narrowing down. They're a narrowing down. They're a constriction of soul and, I think, spirit and authenticity. They're a narrowing down, and they just don't capture the totality of who we are. They're just too small. This is what I found about my own relationship, and I'll share some of these stories. They're too small for me, and I'm trying to squeeze myself into the stories so that I feel acceptable in some way. Expanding them, all right, and therefore our lives starts with sort of catching them in the act. All right, is really starting to pay attention to them. There's a guy named Dan McAdams who belongs to a branch of psychology called narrative therapy. This is specifically designed to help people step beyond their storylines. All right, he says, and this is the way he puts it, we should interrogate ourselves. Okay, this is not passive. I'll think about it. We should interrogate ourselves about the stories we tell up here, about ourselves, about other people, about the world and how it works or doesn't. So that the stories stop kind of holding us in their thrall, so that we can regain some power in relation to the stories. And, frankly, I think we could start by watching our language. Listen to what you say. Listen to the stories that go on up here, and listen to the tone of voice you use on yourself. And try to imagine how you'd feel if somebody else was saying to you the things you say to yourself. I literally did this once. I typed up a few of these stories. I gave them to a friend and I said, read them to me. And I freaking hated it. Some of what I say to myself in here, when it comes from somebody else, you wouldn't put up with it. So it's just an interesting exercise. Obviously, the tuning in process that helps us do this considerably helped along with practices like mindfulness meditation. Okay? Journaling, my experience, it helps to interrupt some of the stories. Dream interpretation, therapy. I had a therapist say to me once, after I had shared with him one of my favorite sob stories about how my family of origin had victimized me, he said, how many times have you told that story? How many more times are you planning on telling it? Right. It's like, whoa, okay, stop me in my tracks. And because we're always making up new stories, I think it really is important to watch how you craft them, how you get them going, right? McAdams says that people, for instance, who have tell stories about challenging events in their life, okay, but with a redemptive twist, okay, something they learned from it, some meaning or wisdom they wrested from it, some way they grew, tend to thrive over time more than people who just tell a negative version of that story, that event, right? So, for example, I lost my job at a newspaper early in my career. And I put it squarely in the failure department. And that's how I told the story initially, that I got fired. End of story. But over time, I realized that it was precisely by getting fired that I gained the motivation I needed to finally follow the call to be a freelance writer, which I'd been avoiding for half a decade at that point. All right, so I transformed, by focusing on the redemptive twist, I was able to turn it from a story of failure to, if not quite a story of success, at least a story of falling up. Right? You get what I mean by that? Falling up. Okay, a directive crisis. And that made a huge difference, just to hear myself describe it that way to people. Some redemptive twist. All right? So that's why I say we are not just the protagonists in these stories that we tell. We're the narrators, you know? We're actually in charge of those stories. And this is one of the reasons why I think it's critical to separate fact from fiction. You know, because even a shred of contrary evidence, right, a minor exception to the storyline, a small crack in its logic, right? Another way it could be told, from another point of view perhaps, might provide you with that all-important shadow of a doubt, okay, that can help you start to question the truthfulness of the story and maybe unhook yourself from it, allow you to grow beyond, sort of the boundaries you've set for yourself with that story, okay? For example, I have made a regrettable number of life decisions that started and ended with the phrase, "I can't afford it." Sound familiar? And what that's doing is grinding into my subconscious a message of self-imposed limitation. This is a financial version of a rap on the knuckles at the cookie jar. I'm telling this over and over and over and over again. What's more accurate is I won't afford it. This introduces into the equation the critical elements of choice and power. Okay? I would prefer to spend my money on car repairs rather than a new computer. But a huge difference in how that feels in here. Okay? Let's say that you have a story that you're not the creative type. It's a very common storyline. I'm not the creative type. But over time, you begin to notice minor exceptions to that. You go out into the garden, you cut flowers, you arrange them in a vase with the purple ones in the back and the blues in the middle and the yellows in front. You're being artistic, right? You're doodling on a pad while you're talking to your dad on the phone. You're drawing, right? You sing along to the car radio. You're singing. You drum your fingers on the desk, right? You're drumming. You dream. And your subconscious is essentially playwriting. Okay, so suddenly you begin to think, well, I am the creative type. And I come by it quite naturally. Because we all dream. Science tells us 6 times a night. We're script writing. Our own unconscious is script writing. Stories, complicated stories. Ones you could never think of yourself. So, anyway. Changing them, granted, no easy thing. Okay, especially if you've been telling yourself some of these storylines for the better part of a lifetime. You're just not going to undo them at the flip of a switch. And without, I think, ruffling feathers. Just, expect that. That's part of your anticipation of what's going to happen when you start questioning stories, especially the ones you've been telling yourself for half a lifetime. It is going to ruffle feathers, and not just yours necessarily. I'll give you an example. Ross and I, a couple of years back, were hiking in the Santa Cruz Mountains. We're having a debate about how susceptible we are to cultural conditioning. Okay? It starts when he makes a comment about being immune to advertising. And to make a point about how susceptible I thought we were to advertising, and not just the consumer kind, but the cultural kind, I dared him to hold hands with me until we reached a bend in the forest path, like 100 feet up or something. And he reaches out his hand, accompanied by a look that roughly translates to, "I call your bluff." So here's the thing. There was clearly nobody around. There was nobody around. But the next 10 seconds of our life provoked an outbreak of reflexes that would have put Pavlov's dogs to shame. Awkwardness, embarrassment, self-consciousness, paranoia, pure conditioning, and based on a story about how you're supposed to behave in public if you're straight, at least in our culture. That's a story, how you're supposed to behave in public, right? And all we were doing was holding hands, really barely pushing a toe across the line as these things go. And all the alarm bells went off. That's what I mean by ruffling feathers. All the alarm bells went off. And my God, we look almost exactly alike. How suspicious could this be? you know? And besides, we're doing this in Santa Cruz. Who cares? You know? And didn't really even dare this escapade in public. You know, not really. And I wouldn't be a proper twin either if I didn't report to you that he broke first. Sorry. I get the microphone, I can say it. And you can't get away from being a twin either. But changing the stories is hard human work. I really want to offer a gracious bow to what I'm even encouraging you to consider doing by questioning the stories that you have in your head about yourself. It's hard work. Compassion is in order. Patience, a sense of humor is in order. You may have to sing yourself a different tune a dozen, 100 times before it begins to sink in and really hold sway, before you begin to believe it. And you may have to do that. So the truth is that until he and I started to really notice this story that we had, and here's the thing, confront, if not deconstruct, the core perceptions that are at the heart of your stories, the behavior that grows out of them won't change. It won't change, all right? It was by dialoguing with my brother and with myself, and him with himself, from what I understand, about that story that there ain't no town big enough for the two of you boys, that we were able to grow beyond it. And now, I live in the same town with my twin brother for the first time since we were boys. Right? And it is one of the joys of our life together. So the growth beyond that story that kept us in separate towns for most of our life is over. And this is one of the joys of my life, is to have this experience. Right? And so, and we did not bring any Tyrannosaurus Rexes to life in doing so. You know, that's just something to consider, is the thing you think is going to happen, your subconscious is even saying, you know, danger, Will Robinson, didn't really come to pass. So, finally, in the spirit of upgrading our stories, I just want to say that the workshop this afternoon is a very hands-on opportunity to explore the stories that you may be telling yourself right now, and that right now, at this juncture, might bear some reconsideration. So we're just going to gently explore what are the stories you're telling yourself, and how do we grow beyond them. To understand, as we say here in New Thought, is that we are expressions of God. We are sacred. We are worthy. And that the stories that tell us that we're not bear reconsideration. So I hope you'll come. And thank you so much for inviting me back. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I thought I was seeing double, but I wasn't sure. I didn't want to say nothing until he got up and said, my twin. I said, woo, thank you, Jesus. Okay. It's just, thank you so much, Greg. Let's give him another hand, okay? Oh, so wonderful, so wonderful. Excuse me, I forgot the prayer list. Okay, it is time for us to go into our community prayer. But first, I want to welcome home our Reverend Sally Bartholomew, who's in the audience there. Welcome home, darling. Do we have someone bringing up the prayer box? Okay. We will have one of our practitioner students, Alice Herden, coming up. And I will ask the practitioners to please stand in your spaces, please. Thank you. Oh, let us just take a deep breath. and just give thanks for everything that has taken place this evening. Blessing those who have put prayers in our prayer box today, knowing that before they were written, they were answered. For we know that there is the power and the presence of God everywhere, right where we are. So at this wonderful Sunday, I bless our nonprofit partner. The Borneo Project brings international attention and support to community-led efforts to defend forests, sustainable livelihood, and human rights, protecting human rights and environmental integrity. We bless our youth and the youth of the world, knowing they are guided by the loving mind and heart of Spirit. We bless each and every one of those who are in service today, creating a world that works for everyone, accepting love, comfort, peace of mind, and healing for all those impacted by challenges. Leader de Seville, Wes Wyman, Jerry Arbogast, Shayna. And for our beloved Doris Reed, who has made her transition to the other side of life. We bless her family, and especially her sister, Ruby. And for all those impacted by the war in Ukraine, in all world wars, the pandemic, and disasters everywhere. We know that God is all there is. We know that God is truly blessing each and every one of those that have requested prayer today. And I am knowing that right where you are, if there's someone on your heart that needs a prayer today, just speak their words into this prayer right here, right now. And so as we have spoken their names, we know that right where they are, the power and the presence abides. And that healing is being revealed all over this world. We bless synagogues, churches, all over, knowing that truth is being revealed for each and every one, regardless of the appearances of things. So I'm giving great thanks for this community and all who are within the sound of my voice. I am knowing for each and every one of us, God's grace is truly our sufficiency in all things. And so as I, Dorothy, release this prayer into the divine light of God, knowing that the answers are already there because God always says yes. And as I have spoken these names, we are knowing healing, love, peace, joy, clarity, and guidance is taking place. So I'm giving thanks right here, right now, knowing it is done. And together we say, and so it is. Thank you, Alice. Thank you. And now, it is time for that gift that keeps on giving. So, there are many ways to do this. I do it the old-fashioned way, and that is my check. There is many ways to give. There's a donation button on our website. You can just click on it and put your donation and information in there. The text, you can text, and you can also go to Zelle and put your contribution there, okay? So right now, let us put our contributions over our hearts and say our giving affirmation. This gift I give is God in action. It does good work in the world and blesses creation. And so it is. Okay. So now, as you go out, there is the basket. You can drop your donation into the basket at this exit or that way out, okay? So right now, I'm going to turn it over to our beloved musicians, Kev Choice and Omega Ray, okay?
Ooh, yeah. Ooh, I believe in the power of kindness. Ooh, I believe in the power of love. Ooh, I believe in the power of kindness. Ooh, I believe in the power of love. We don't know what's coming, but we can help shape what's ahead. Kindness as our currency, the commonwealth is in our hands. So give a little, oh, give a lot, don't stop. Helping hand makes the world go round, there's more than enough. Ooh, I believe in the power of kindness. Ooh, I believe in the power of love. Yeah. Ooh, I believe in the power of kindness. Ooh, I believe in the power of love. Look up now, people, but keep your ear to the ground. We are the river flowing, generosity abounds. So give a little, oh, give a lot, don't stop. Hey, helping hand makes the world go round, there's more than enough. Ooh, I believe in the power of kindness. Ooh, I believe in the power of love. Oh, ooh, I believe in the power of kindness. Ooh, I believe in the power of love. Honeybees serve sweetness only to help the work bloom, bringing life to the flower, from the flower to the fruit. We can learn a thing or two. So give a little, oh, give a lot, don't stop. Helping hand makes the world go round, there's more than enough. Ooh, I believe in the power of kindness. Ooh, I believe in the power of love. Oh, 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 ooh, I believe in the power of kindness. Ooh, I believe in the power of love. Ooh, kindness. Ooh, I'm feeling love. Yeah. Ooh, oh, kindness. Hey, ooh, the power of love. Thank you.
So I'm Constance Chapman, and I'm here to tell you to fasten your seatbelts because we are going to Southeast Asia. And our nonprofit partner of the month is Borneo, and Joe Lamb is here to be our tour guide. And so please welcome him as he gives you some information about what they're doing in Borneo.
I'll speak right into the microphone here in just a second. Yeah, sorry about that. So it's such a complete honor to be here with you today in this incredible chapel with this wonderful community and talk about hard acts to follow. Oh my God. I mean, I'm not gonna try to top them. I'm gonna just try to float on the top of that energy and that amazing feeling that was out there. Thank you for that wonderful music. And thank you, Greg, for that, all of that. I was looking at the wrong person there for a second. for just the beautiful, beautiful exposition about how we tell ourselves stories and how in the act of telling those stories, we recreate the stories and they keep moving through time and space. That's definitely true in my life, and it's definitely true in a cultural sense, too. And I'm here today to try to deconstruct a couple of stories that we've been telling ourselves, that the world has been telling itself for a long time. And one of the stories is that we're facing the apocalypse right now. There's two different apocalyptic stories that are fighting it out in some senses. You can understand why a lot of fundamentalist religious people really don't like science. I think in part because science kind of stole the idea of the origin story, and then in some senses stole the idea of the apocalypse. Us facing catastrophic climate change, pandemics that are really caused in some senses by humans because of the way that we've been treating nature. We have these two stories. And in my opinion, neither of those stories are correct. That we are not going to have an apocalyptic ending either from environmental reasons or for some kind of what is sometimes called the dictator God, the vengeful God, which is the God of certain religious traditions, but not the God of my religious tradition, which is a very complicated religious tradition that includes information from many different religions. And one of the fundamental beliefs of my religion is that fundamentals are too important to trust the fundamentalists. And that we have to recapture those fundamentals for ourselves. And I better set my timer so I just don't keep going for hours and hours here. Two of the narratives that have been going on globally, one is, of course, the narrative I just talked about the apocalypse, which we are going to be able to avoid for reasons connected to the other story that the dominant world culture has been telling itself for a long time, which is that indigenous peoples are not full human beings. This is a story that has been told in blood in the Americas that we're all aware of, the way Native Americans faced basically what was a Holocaust in the United States, and that this is still going on globally in many places, in Brazil, in many places in India, in places in South America. And I have had the great honor to work with indigenous peoples in Borneo who have been rising up in defense of their native lands. Some 30-odd years ago, I was asked by the city of Berkeley to carry a letter from the city council to a longhouse in Malaysian Borneo, where the members of that longhouse, almost all of them, from little kids to elders, had been arrested because they went out and blockaded a logging road used to clear cut their land and sell all of their trees At that time, they were being sold mainly to Japan. More logs came out of Borneo in the 80s and 90s than out of all of South America and all of Africa combined. But this was largely off of everybody's radar, especially in the United States. Most people couldn't find Borneo on a map. But the native peoples of Borneo during that time were very bravely defending land that they had tended for tens of thousands of years, producing one of the most biodiverse, species-rich places on the planet. Another story that we've told ourselves in the popular culture that I've told myself as an environmentalist for the majority of my life was that there's a difference between human nature and virgin wilderness. That virgin wilderness is a place that is untouched by humans. It turns out that that's a myth. It turns out that the rainforests in the Amazon, the rainforests in Asia, the rainforests in Africa have been tended by indigenous peoples for tens of thousands of years. A professor who's a friend of mine at Oxford, Yadvinder Mali, states that there is no biome on the planet where there is no place on the planet like Yosemite or Yellowstone or any of the big parks in Africa or South America absent people, that in all of those places where there aren't people, the people were either removed by force or by disease. And that's a horror story that the United States needs to grapple with, the fact that we have kicked indigenous peoples out of places that are now our national parks, and that's true globally. But it turns out that humans living in wilderness is often the thing that makes the wilderness the most species diverse place. Because indigenous peoples with their native spiritualities had lands that they would set aside as refuges where nature could heal itself. And they would protect those and prevent those from being destroyed. And then when you have colonial forces coming in and taking them over, then they have no respect for those refuges, for allowing there to be this place where nature can heal itself. So what we in the Borneo Project did some 30-odd years ago was form a sister city between Berkeley and this longhouse in Borneo, which had been valiantly fighting against the rainforest destruction. Indigenous peoples all over in Borneo were blockading logging roads, trying to defend their land. And the idea was that we would try to draw some attention to it because it was just completely absent in the press. And that was relatively successful. We actually did draw a lot of press. We were even in the New York Times. And then, more importantly, we drew a cadre of people to the project who over time remained completely dedicated to the process of helping indigenous peoples put themselves on the map. So one of the first things that we did was we took like 15 mapping people to Borneo to teach native peoples how to map their own land. It was something that spread like wildfire throughout many of the native communities, and using maps that they made themselves, they were able to defend their forest. And my 5 minutes is up, and I've got about 10 more hours that I'd like to talk to you. But I'm not going to do that to you. But instead, what I'd like you to do is there are brochures about the Borneo Project outside, and I'd like you to take one. And on the brochure are links to our website. And on our website, we have links to films that we've made, including a series of films that was successful in stopping what would have been one of the world's largest mega dams, which would have displaced tens of thousands of native peoples and destroyed just vast tracts of forest, unimaginably large tracts of forest. So back to the apocalypse for just a second. One of the reasons that the apocalypse is not going to happen is because indigenous peoples all around the planet are rising up in defense of their land. And there are people all around the planet many places on the planet who recognize that this is absolutely essential if we are going to prevent climate change from becoming catastrophic. The IPCC report, the big intergovernmental report that studies this, says that there's no way that we can prevent catastrophic climate change without securing land rights for indigenous peoples. Thank you so much for welcoming me.
The time will come when we won't have to do this. But in the meantime, we're being safe. And I want to thank everyone who is attending service today. And thank you especially to our AV team that makes it possible for our live streamers and for us to be here right where we are. Thank you so much. I bless our musicians, the fabulous Kev Choice and Omega Ray. We are so blessed to have them here. It's just awesome, just awesome. And I just want to say thank you to everyone. Now, to let you know, we have a gift for you, and that is the gift of prayer. Practitioners will be in the prayer room. We call it a 3-minute miracle. So if you have something heavy on your heart or something you want to give thanks for, take it to the upper room. A practitioner will be praying with you. That's what we love to do. So we ask you to come join us in the back. There's also the prayer box that you saw practitioner student Alice bring up. You can put in a request in the prayer box, and practitioners will pray on that prayer for you for 2 weeks. So please, don't go home with a problem. Come to the upper room and let us comfort you, support you in any way that we can. So, now that said, we will do our closing affirmation. I suggest that you read this affirmation every day and see how your life changes. So let's stand together and read our affirmation. I take charge of the stories of my life, and so it is.
May the long time sun shine upon you. All love surround you, and the pure light within you guide your way on. May the long time sun shine upon you. All love surround you, and the pure light within you guide your way on. May the long time sun shine upon you. All love surround you, and the pure light within you. Oh, guide your way on, guide your way on, guide your way on, yeah, guide your way on, guide your way on. guide your way on. Happy Sunday. Happy Sunday. Have a beautiful May Day. Happy Beltane. Enjoy this month. Where are my Tauruses? Any birthdays? We got Taurus in the house. Hey, happy birthday.